Yet another reason for increasing demand or increasing uptake of sustainable palm oil is consumer concern. And I mentioned, touched on it in the previous slide. Once labeling makes it clear what oil is involved, and there is currently a lot of consumer concern around the origins of palm oil. And this has been reflected in activity by a range of NGOs, and exposing or discussing and they're just essentially discussing the public concerns around palm oil. We have actually had a number of unpleasant experiences around planned substitution of ingredients with palm oil. I won't go into the details, but we've seen some very extreme consumer reactions to some planned changes, just planned changes, not actual changes. So again, it's a factor we take very seriously. Now, demand, again, we've had a number of discussions over the last couple of days about the various routes by which sustainable palm oil is going to be supplied to the markets. And I won't go into the technicalities. There's many people who are much better qualified than I to explain the technicalities. But essentially, I think that for the foreseeable future, all four supply chain mechanisms are going to be used. And as two of the previous speakers in this session have mentioned, once it gets down to the end user, we actually use a lot of very complex palm oil derived products. And I think from our side, which is why we see that the use of green palm certificates is going to continue for a long time to come. Just to highlight here, we use, the vast majority of our use of palm oil is actually through derivatives. We use in fact, very little crude palm oil. And that which we use, we're actually moving to segregated palm oil. But as you can see here, for the derivatives, it's a very long, complex supply chain with numerous steps along the way, including at least 1 or 2 steps in Europe once the oil has arrived. And the other point I'd like to make is we ourselves actually use literally hundreds of different specifications for palm oil derivatives, often very specialized and in relatively small quantities. So, establishing a sort of segregated supply chain for those, quite frankly, at this stage is not possible, and I can see that situation remaining for a long time to come. However, we are very confident, we have made commitments around use of green palm certificates, and we continue to buy those in ever-increasing quantities. And the target is by 2015, all our palm oil use will be covered by green palm if it's not segregated crude palm oil. Right, future uptake of segregated palm oil. At the moment, the current demand for CSPO is concentrated in Europe and the States, which, as I mentioned earlier, is actually a relatively small part of the market, palm oil market. To transform the sustainable palm oil market, we need to focus on global consumption. Particularly, the major consuming countries, palm oil consuming countries, India, China, and Indonesia. That's where we're going to transform the market. Interesting point is that currently at the moment, there's about 5 million tons of CSPO available, of which about 2.5 million tons are actually bought. Now this is actually, while it sounds disappointing, it's actually comparable to the uptake of other certified commodities. I think you'll find in commodities like cocoa, probably about 50%, only about 50% of the commodities which are available as certified are actually sold as certified. And this is very much the case also in coffee. Now, there's a whole host of reasons for that, but I think it's important to put a bit of context around that, a bit of perspective. Other sort of challenges around the demand for sustainable palm oil. I think the industry needs to be much more positive, much more proactive about sustainable palm oil. And this is going to become particularly relevant in the EU in 2014 as labeling changes. At the moment, the palm oil industry has the position is more a defensive position. I think we need to be much more positive about the benefits of palm oil when it's grown, produced sustainably. It is a relatively high income crop for a smallholder. It's a far more efficient user of land than a lot of the other oils. We just don't make enough. We're not positive enough about this. And I think it's essential we do this over the next couple of years. We develop a very strong position around sustainable palm oil. Other things we need to do is quantify the benefits of a sustainable farming approach to producers. And without getting into the premium discussion, basic economics will say that as a commodity becomes mainstream, premiums drop. And therefore, we need to be able to show that a sustainable approach actually benefits the grower, whether it's through improved productivity, reduced input costs leading to higher margin, improved efficiency, access to market, whatever. But we need to be able to show that. And we need to be able to show it quite quickly. And probably another really key point is smallholders. We need to be far more effective engaging smallholders. As was mentioned in a board meeting earlier this week, within 5, maybe 10 years, 70% of Indonesian palm oil supply is going to come from smallholders. We need to be able to, if we want to develop the supply of sustainable palm oil, we've got to develop the supply of sustainable palm oil from smallholders. And at this stage, I'm not sure that we're effectively tackling them. So, in summary, I'd say there's many reasons for demand for sustainable palm oil to increase. To transform the market, we need to focus on global consumption of sustainable palm oil. And all the supply chain mechanisms will continue to be relevant. And finally, just to re-emphasize, we really need to focus on developing sustainable palm oil supply out of smallholders. Thank you.